am a migraine sufferer, chronic, for almost 40 years. I need to eat like every 2 to 2.5 hours. Otherwise I get a migraine. And so I'm struggling. This is my first week. I'm struggling with how to deal with that, because it can't be all fruits and vegetables, because I have intolerances to different things. So if I eat too much citrus, for example, it'll trigger a migraine. I also have intolerances to wheat, soy, and dairy. So I'm trying to figure out how to supplement, at least so I can transition better into, the first 30 days, and especially be ready for the second 10 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, the great thing is, this is meant to customize to you. So what foods do really support you in your migraines and do really help you?
Well, unfortunately, when I get one, I crave all the things that I shouldn't eat. But I haven't found anything that I can really eat. So a lot of times what we'll do it is protein, meat, pork, beef, not so much chicken, but so that's more than just like, I could never eat a salad when I have a propensity to have a migraine, or shade vegetables, things like that. So I don't know. Can we eat eggs? I was thinking I could try eggs, hard-boiled eggs, for example, tomorrow morning. But what other ideas do you have?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the amino acids are those going for you, because that's a really great source of protein that's easy on the body to digest. And it's because our goal with this is to get really alkaline and supported. And so how long have you had migraines for? It sounds like it's been quite a long time.
Yeah, for 40 years. I'm 58.
Right. And so there's a lot of different things that are going on with migraines, including hormonal health and the adrenals, and the gut microbiome. So it's going to be a process, and you're going to have to take it at your own pace. But the things that will help it long term are getting the body alkaline. So if you feel like you're very sensitive to fruits and veggies, it's bringing up those symptoms for you. It really is part of the healing process as well. So you're just going to have to find a nice balance and dance within that, because when the body is having these symptoms of migraines, it's something that's deeper that is going on. And so the fruits and the veggies are there to actually bring these like chronic suppressions up to the surface so that they can be eliminated out of the body. So for myself, I was healing from chronic pain that I had for over 10 years from a car accident, and getting in those fresh fruits and veggies and getting the body alkaline and incorporating different herbs, it brought all of that chronic pain up to the surface, which was the body's healing response, because all of it was, I was experiencing it daily, but it was deep, it was chronic, it was in the tissues at a really deep state. So the way that I had to work through it is actually getting the body alkaline, which is going to oxygenate the cells. It's going to bring those tissues, those cells from like a really congested place where if you were to look under a microscope, when our bodies are a more acidic state, those cells are all stuck together. And then when we're getting alkaline, it's allowing those cells to flow freely in the blood and get oxygen into them and get nutrients in them, and then to get waste out of the cells. So the main thing we're working on is getting the cellular waste out of the body, but that's going to show up as the things that we're healing. So I had to go through, those levels of pain in order to get out of it. And now I'm completely pain-free, and I haven't had a drop of pain in 4 years, whereas I was experiencing it daily. So, but it had to come up worse first. So that's why you're just going to have to, migraines are tricky. It's not something that you're going to want to be, out of commission for. Like, I have a friend that is very similar to you and has had a long journey with migraines. So you will have to pace it, but knowing that the fruits and veggies are going to stir a little bit up. But if you can just slowly move into more and more and more alkalinity. And I know Carrie and Tidwell speak to this in depth as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Rita. You have to get to, in order to get to the root of it, since it's been happening for so long, you really need those hydrating foods to help break up that acid, that cellular waste on a deeper level. So if you're really sensitive to certain foods, it's just finding the foods that you respond the best to. So I don't know what fruits, and like, can you do lemon water? Can you do grapes? Like, what fruits can you handle? And just know that it will stir things up. And like Rita said, take it at a pace that feels comfortable. Fruits speed things up, where vegetables will slow things down. Cooked vegetables will slow it down even further. But you're going to want to work your way up to it at a pace that feels okay for you. And you're going to want to see mucus come out. So whether it's a runny nose or mucus out through the stool or urine, that's when you know you're getting to the deeper. If that's your goal, is to get to the root and get to like deeper levels, that's what you'll want to see eventually as well.
Okay. So you're saying that hard-boiled eggs would be okay?
No.
No.
Ideally, no. Eggs are actually one of the most congesting forming foods. So if whatever fruits and vegetables you can go to are going to be your number 1 and 2 choices. Fruits are going to be part of your cleansers. And if you want something more satiating as you transition, you could do like sweet potato or a squash or something like that to transition. I don't know how far in your journey that you're at, but with migraines too, like massage or cold rags on the back of the head and putting your feet in really hot water can help with migraines. Getting massage, you could do other therapeutic things to help as you work through this. But how far into your journey are you?
Well, this is just day 3. And the first day I was just in a panic because after, 3 hours or whatever, a migraine was triggered. And so I left work to go home and I had a piece of pork and it was gone. And then later in the afternoon, the same thing happened. And I came home and had a piece of beef and it was gone. So that's when I contacted Erin, my niece, and just said, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, so you'll probably want to like slowly get off the animal protein. So I wouldn't even stop that right away. In your case, if you're wanting to continue to, function, if that's what's really helping you. So I would just start adding in a lot of good alkaline forming foods, especially in the first part of your day. So adding in hydrating things, whatever fruits and vegetables you can tolerate, and then have that majority of that be more plant-based, and then have a little piece of meat on the side as you continue to transition and add all these good nutrients in your body.
Okay, that makes sense. And it sounds reasonable too, because yesterday it was a little bit easier. Today it was a little bit easier again. So, maybe that my body has been the way it is for too long. And yeah, I just need to work through the pain of changing it. So
yeah, and it can take time, so be patient with yourself. If this is the first cleanse you've ever done, oh my gosh, welcome, and I'm so glad you're taking this step, because if
I can chime in just a minute. I have a 2-year-old having a meltdown, so I'm going to stay on mute, but then I can add something in a moment.
I give you a lot of credit for taking this step, for having migraines for that long. I can't even imagine what that must feel like to go through that. And our passion as regenerative detox specialists is to really help people dive in and get to the root so they don't have to suffer anymore with that. And so we kind of automatically go to the deep dive right away. But if this is like your first one, you can take it gentle, like while you're adding all of these very high vibrational foods in, you'll get like slight detox symptoms. And some people do several of these back to back and go a little deeper each time. And so depending on what your goals are, you can decide on that. But I honor you for being here, and thanks for opening up and sharing, and we're here to support, but take it at a level that feels good, but know that we're going to want to work into more alkaline hydrating foods, and think of that side as the high water type foods. So all your fruits and vegetables, things that are fresh, is what you're going to want to consume a lot of in the future to get to the root of it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you want to incorporate a little, like some extra of the plant-based aminos, that might really help you in that transition, and also give you that kind of protein that you feel like calms that symptom a bit. So you can take more, like up to 15 of the plant-based aminos a day.
And what are those?
Those are the super amino 23s that you take in the morning.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If you're needing, like, if you're feeling like you're needing that help with that transition from the high protein, I would definitely take another dose or 2 doses of those throughout the day.
Okay, sounds good.
And I was just going to add in, like, there's lots of ways to slow down detox even without having to add in the animal tissue, like Rita was saying. So it's completely up to your comfort level. But like right now, I'm actually making this for my daughter. I don't know if you're local, but this here, it's 2 ingredients. It's organic green pea flour and organic wild garlic, and that's it. And it's a pasta. So it's not a detox food, but it's a better detox food than, you know, going to a pizza pork if you feel like you're wanting to avoid that. So I found this at Fresh Time. Yeah, it's 100% certified organic, and it's only 2 ingredients, and it'll slow things down whenever you have something cooked at all. So something in that nature, like a gluten-free, you know, like a chickpea pasta or a green pea pasta or a sweet potato or roasted veggies or millets or quinoa. Those are all really good options that will slow the detox down to a manageable rate, but still keep you cleaning instead of going in between pulling toxins and then adding toxins.
Okay, thank you. If I'm the only one with questions, I'm going to ask another one. My daughter has recently been diagnosed with lupus. She's 28, and she's experiencing a lot of pain and kind of impulsive twitches with her limbs and things like that. She's lost a lot of weight, and I'm just wondering, it just seems like some kind of cleanse would be helpful to her. But again, and maybe you've already answered it with my migraine thing, I just think anything too drastic might be too hard on her body, as it's, you know, still figuring out where it is and what this is going to be like for the rest of her life. So do you have recommendations for someone who's just been diagnosed with lupus?
I can speak to that. You said she's interested in starting or has started?
She has not, but she is very interested in plant-based medicines. And I don't know what the term is, but, you know, just being very natural. She on her own has learned about, you know, medicines in the Amazon, and she's part native, and so she understands all the barks on trees and all that kind of stuff. So she goes right to the source, and then she makes teas and things like that. but I don't think she's found anything doing that really addresses the pain and the sort of impulsive muscle twitches that she has.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that she's into all that and has that awareness and knowledge and uses that. And so a lot of times with like herbalists and people into plant medicine, they kind of take the same approach as the medical community with treating symptoms instead of like getting to the root. And so our passion is to help people. It's not just about what you're consuming, but is the cellular waste being eliminated? Is the digestive waste being eliminated? Do you have any accumulated toxins in the body that need to be cleansed out? And so that's a really nice way we like to start people, is doing this lifestyle transformation to really change up the diet, open up eliminative channels, educate too a lot on lymphatic health, because a lot of times, just like we can be constipated in our colon, we can be backed up in our lymphatic system, and that could be suppressing the endocrine glands and organs to get the nutrients they need to function optimally. So we really want to open up the eliminative channels to get the congestion out of the body. And so that's the approach that we like to use. And so if she's tried other things and nothing's working, really cleansing at this regenerative level is the only thing that I know how. And Carrie can speak to this because she had Hashimoto's and lupus, and she doesn't have that anymore with her lupus diagnosis, because she did a lot of this regenerative healing work. So she can speak to that, or Rita can speak to that as well.
I can speak really quick. I'm sorry, I'm managing so many things right now with I'm still getting used to life with a 2-year-old. Oh, Mila, here. You know what, actually I'll let Rita interject and I'll come back on in just a moment.
Perfect. Thanks, Carrie. Yeah, so exactly what Carrie Tidwell was speaking to, and I love Carrie Drinkwine's story of her own healing. But exactly what Carrie was saying, it comes back to that cellular health, and we're passed down that lymphatic congestion from multiple generations. So we can even be born with chronic lymphatic congestion, and many people are, and like the majority of the clients that I work with, all of them have some level of lymphatic congestion. And so what that does is it stops our tissues and our glands from functioning at their full capacity. So as soon as we start to get the body alkaline, it'll start cleaning out some of that lymphatic system. And then working more deeply with like the tart cherry juice is going to help get those kidneys filtering. And that's what's going to eliminate a lot of those cellular wastes, which are causing the symptoms in the first place. So, it's really interesting whether you're looking at like Dr. Zach Bush's works or Dr. Robert Morse's works. Those are two of some of my favorite mentors. Disease, we often label it as this disease and that disease and this and this and like so many different things. But really when it comes down to it, it all just comes down to the cellular health and the chemistry of the body. And that's going to impact the glands and the organs and the tissues. And I can speak to the pain point of it because that was my whole journey. And I tried everything for 10 years and I was eating so healthy, super clean. And I was still in chronic pain, and I was doing all kinds of other healing modalities. And it wasn't until I started to get those kidneys filtering that I could start eliminating that lymphatic congestion that was causing my pain. And so really it is as simple as like cleaning up the cells and then supporting the different organs and glands. And, with twitching and all of that, it's really important to support the adrenal glands. So all the different foods we're eating on a daily basis, we just want to know, is that actually feeding the cell? Is the cell actually able to use it? And so in this cleanse and transformation, what we're doing is we're getting easily absorbable nutrients into the body that are alkaline and grown in healthy soils. So we're getting that nutritional capacity fed, but then we're getting the body alkaline, which is allowing for that cellular health to start to happen and that cleansing start to happen. So it really is the health of the tissues, and we want to eliminate that through the kidneys and through the bowels. And so really starting there is the best place to start, and then she can take it at her own pace.
Thank you very much.
I have a question, if you don't mind. Sorry, I keep popping on and off my phone. It's kicking me off the internet all the time, so I apologize for that.
Okay, I think I got things under control. I it's just meltdowns. But I will say that in my personal lupus healing, like I don't have anything additional to add in the sense of Rita and Carrie already addressed it. It's a cellular level of acidosis. So the kidneys need to be filtering and removing acid waste. So that's a primary part. But I will say like the biggest foundational part of my symptoms was coming from my gut health. And like I had chronic constipation, I had dizziness and vertigo, as well as all of the chronic full body pain. And so that was a process, like actually my body pain went away when my gut healed. And that was like the most integral part because you make so many of your hormones from your gut, as well as like your nervous system is regulated in your gut. So very simple how she can even process her pain or handle her pain will be associated to the health of the gut and the nervous system. So that was my biggest takeaway was as soon as I changed my diet, yes, I experienced detox symptoms as well. I was already a plant-based eater, but more like, you know, kind of everything. I ate like tofu, I ate black beans, I ate nuts. So when I went to like an all fruit-based diet, that's what I chose to do because I was impatient and had some deep healing to do. I did experience detox symptoms, but as soon as I got like the gut cleaned out, like the initial sweep, that's when almost all my symptoms went away. And then I kept working. So I was asymptomatic, but I knew I wasn't in the clear because my kidneys still weren't filtering. So I actually just kept going and kept going and kept going until I saw that kidney filtration and I saw lymph moving through. And that's when I actually went to the doctor and got my blood panels again. And I didn't have anything that they could find on paper. So my Th1, Th2 antibodies were all in normal range. I was at like a 481 at the top. One time it went up to 532 and I was down to 13 after like 4 months, I want to say. So like everything came into normal range. My doctors were pretty dumbfounded. They were like, well, it doesn't make any sense. How'd you do it? And I was like, I changed my diet. I took herbs. So as soon as I really got the kidneys open and the lymph open, that's when I saw the numbers on the paper go away, like the autoimmune signals. But as soon as I even adjusted the diet fully, my body pain went away. So there's several stages of this process. So I would say encourage her to start. You know, and start slow with a mixture of fruits and cooked foods, and then just really working on the gut. The gut biome is huge in lupus.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for being here. So I was watching the reproductive health class on Sunday, and
We're having trouble hearing you, honey.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble hearing you as well.
well, I'll try to sign in on my phone and do it. Speaker on the computer is not good, so I gotta turn my phone. I'll try to sign in on my phone if it works. If it works, if not, I'll do it.
And you can also type in the chat if you can't figure it out on your phone, because it's really hard to make out what you're saying.
Just want to check in with Alana and Ellie and Jessica and anyone else. If you have any questions, feel free to pop on.
I do. I don't know if I missed like the check-in or whatever. It was a few minutes late, but I'm Elle. I have a few questions. I'll just start with the first one. So I've been diagnosed with fructose intolerance and celiac, which Carrie just informed me yesterday that fructose is not really a real thing. They're fructose intolerant, so that's good to hear. But I'm just wondering, is there certain foods that help with bloating and dizziness? I mean, I get dizziness, and you already covered the headaches, I guess, but just bloating and in the years, and I feel like everything I eat, I get bloated. So I'm just looking to like find certain foods that might help with that. And then also like good times of the day to eat. I know some people like don't eat only eat after noon, or some people say to start eating first thing in the morning, and I'm just like kind of lost. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak on that. I've been studying and diving into the hormonal balance of times that we're eating lately, and that's been really helpful. But just as your first question, to help with the bloating, so initially you might get some additional excuse me, some additional bloating just as old residual is moving out of the body, out of the tissues, out of the cells, out of the gut. So, for instance, when people are just starting to incorporate more fresh fruits and veggies, it's going to be cleaning things up. So there might be some more initial bloating in the beginning, but that will eliminate. And the things that are great for that are, like your fruits are actually the easiest to digest and absorb. So that can be helpful. Celery juice can be helpful. Again, there might be a little bit extra in the initial phases. And then just continuing to support the gut microbiome. So working with the biomedic. And it'll just take time. It's a little bit different per person. And then as far as eating goes, I've kind of experimented all across the boards, and then have been doing a bunch of studies on hormonal health and times of eating. And some of Dr. Zach Bush's studies have been really interesting and indicating that if you eat before 7:30 a.m. in the morning, it's actually going to help your hormonal levels, and then just grazing throughout the day. So having food every couple of hours, not necessarily big meals, but just like grazing every couple of hours, like having your shake and then, having some fruit with it, and having your aminos, and then having some cut up cucumbers, with some hummus or whatever it is that is like satisfying to you, can really support that process as far as our hormonal levels go. And that just actually has to do with our biology and, waking up with the sun and going to bed with the sun. It's all interrelated to that. So, and then otherwise, if you're not eating in the morning, he recommends eating after noon, just to maintain that balance of our hormonal level.
Okay, the video was cutting out a little bit for me, but I think I got most of what you were saying. Yeah, I'm also thinking too, like my sleep schedule, it changes pretty frequently, which I know is not the healthiest thing. So that's like my next thing to start working on. But I'm like, I mean, if I go to sleep at midnight, am I really supposed to wake up before 7:30 to eat, or does that kind of change things? You know what I mean?
That changes things. That
Yeah.
changes things. So if you're on the midnight schedule, then eating like at noon might be really appropriate for you. Having that as kind of your first meal. And a lot of people will do intermittent fasting from noon to noon. So that's kind of a nice schedule to get on as well. But really just listening to your body and making sure that you're getting enough nutrients, and just tuning inwards.
Okay. I had watched that video you guys did, I think it was last Sunday, with like women's health and stuff. And I was really thinking about, I can't remember what it's called, but it's some sort of chemical that's put on like wheat and fruits and vegetables. And so I'm going, like, where can I shop for fruits and vegetables where, because I know some places say like, oh, it's organic, but is it really like organic? You know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if you guys have suggestions about like local grocery stores that have actually good fruits and vegetables. I'm mainly in Uptown, but I mean, just in the general area of like Minneapolis, St. Louis Park, wherever, if you have suggestions.
I can speak to that since I'm in Minnesota. Another thing before I answer that question with bloating and food sensitivity stuff is really focusing on food combinations. And so eating really simple can be really helpful for that bloating, and eating fruit. You always want to eat fruit first and a half hour before everything else, so it doesn't cause fermentation or bloating or anything like that. So that's a good habit to just get into even beyond this time together. So always eat fruit first. You never want to combine protein with starch. That has a hard time breaking down. So those are just good rules to follow. There is a food combination chart if you want more details on that. Like melons, you always want to eat alone. And then you also want to drink like a half hour before your meals so it doesn't dilute the digestive juices that help break down the food, the hydrochloric acid. And then as far as places to go, I mean, number one, grow your own food. And if you can't do that, then finding like local farmers markets. There's lots of farmers markets in Minneapolis that you can go to. Also co-ops are the next best thing. And then Costco, if you're wanting to get lots of organic produce, they have a lot of organic frozen like cherries and mangoes and strawberries and wild blueberries and organic celery. So if you're wanting to have this lifestyle, it's helpful to get things sometimes in bulk if you're going to eat a lot of it. And so those are the top places I like to get. I try to go as local and close by as possible first, and then co-ops to support local produce that way, and then Costco can be helpful.
Do you guys ever feel like you don't, or when you first started, I guess, your detoxing, did you ever feel like you didn't get full enough when you were eating just fruit?
Yeah, for sure.
I know you kind of touched on like eating like every few hours, like grazing, whatever, but it's just popped into my head because like I'm an eater. I like to be eating, snacking on something, and I'm like, will this really fill me up?
Yeah, I felt the same way. I could eat a bag of grapes and I was like, it felt like it just went through me. But I also, when you look at your eyes, you can see the colon area in your eyes. And what I learned was I'm not absorbing what I'm eating. So I had this like thicker ring outside where my colon is in my eye, which is a sign of malabsorption. And so I wasn't absorbing everything I was eating. It was kind of going through. And that is actually common with a lot of people. It's not normal, but it's common. So have you ever met somebody who can eat, and they just never gain weight, or have a hard time gaining weight? And it's not because they're not eating enough. It's because they're not absorbing what they're eating. And so it's helpful to use these foods to help cleanse, to be able to absorb. So now I can eat a big bowl of watermelon and I'm satisfied for a while, where before I felt like I could eat the whole thing. So yeah, it's helpful to bring food with you if you go somewhere to snack. And so I'll often do that. I'll like cut up apples or bring an apple or a pear or banana. Fruit is like the easiest fast food to. And another thing is, you're transitioning, don't feel you have to go 100% fruit. You can have vegetables and, steamed vegetables or something like that as you transition. And another thing, now that it's starting to get cooler at night, you can make a veggie broth and put a little cayenne pepper, something for warming. And one more thing I wanted to mention is ginger is really helpful for digestion and bloating. And so like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
May I? And I don't know where my video is, so I'll just, I have a friend who is so skinny, and she's been eating tons. And when you said it goes right through, I'm wondering if that's what's going on with her, because she cannot gain weight ever since she had a COVID really bad in March, and she got to about 105, and she has not been able to gain weight since. She's healthy, but she's not gaining weight. And I'm like, what? And I'm wondering, what of Purium could I recommend to her? And how could I explain to her that maybe she's not absorbing what she's eating?
Hey, Laura.
Hi.
A really great question. And I would say bring her on a call just so we can actually connect with her and ask her questions and dive in a lot deeper.
Okay.
But to start, it has to do with that gut microbiome, whether or not we're actually absorbing our foods or not. So the biomedic is a great place to start, because that's actually going to help us with our absorption and clean up that microbiome and balance it out, that we're
Right.
so it actually has the diversity that it needs to really absorb our foods. So that would be the place I'd start. And then the other aspect, we don't only just absorb, at the digestive level, we actually absorb at the cellular level. So if her body is in an acidic state, which it could be even just from stress, it's hard to get nutrients into the cells. So getting her in an alkaline state, especially like the green spectrum and the biofruit and things like that, that's going to allow for cellular absorption. So those are some places that I would start.
Okay. And then with the biofruit, I have a dear friend whose daughter is 15, and she's been home every day last week because of migraines. And she didn't have them all summer. Now that school started, she's back with the migraines. And so I'm thinking it must be because it's an acidic system. And I know the kids like the biofruit. So that would help, because they don't like to take anything.
Yeah, the biofruit, the kids love
Would
it.
I start there with that? And with the conversation of what foods are alkalining?
And it's also hormonal. You said she's 15?
Yeah.
She's going through a big hormonal shift right now. So working with that microbiome is going to help her with her hormone balance, and working with the
Sorry.
okay, working with the shakes, such as like the power shake, the appleberry power shake, is going
For
to help her to balance out those hormones. So yeah, I would hop on a call with one of us, and that way we can be the best support to that person.
Okay.
But
Thank
the
you.
other thing I would add that's outside, and I'm just saying because I've suffered from migraines for 40 years. I'm a teacher, and when I have my summers off or I go on vacation, I rarely have a migraine. And when I get back to school, like, very soon, I start to stress out. I don't feel stressed, but I can tell my body does, because my muscles are tense. So stretching and mindfulness activities really help.
Okay.
Thank you, Anne. And on those same notes, like a lot of the body's ability to cope with stress, and if the body is holding muscular tension, that has to go back to adrenal health. So really supporting the adrenals, and the Be Energetic is one of my favorite forms of adrenal support. So adrenals are huge with migraines and nervous system health and all of it, and stress. So there's I think it would just be a deeper conversation with that person, but those are all places I would start to explore.
Okay, cool. I'll be in touch with them and with you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I had a couple questions. I'm not sure if somebody else was up next to talk.
Go for it.
Okay, so I am starting on the 8th. I've done a variety of different dietary changes over my life. I was, grew up vegetarian, vegan, but it was more like lots of tofu, lots of beans. I've gone to eating meats. I've gone back to being vegetarian. I've tried different cleanses in the past. And now where I'm at, I guess, is I was diagnosed with hypofamilial cholesterolemia, which is a genetic marker that causes my body to make an excessive amount of cholesterol, bad cholesterol, and also not filter it. And so I was doing or attempting to do a combination of like red yeast rice and a variety of other types of holistic options, and kind of following a diet. The cholesterol did not go down the way that it should. And then I did start reluctantly taking a statin because I essentially got scared to the point where I thought that's what the solution was. I'm now pregnant, 13 weeks pregnant. And this is my third baby. And I've definitely throughout this COVID stuff, stopped practicing hot yoga on a regular basis, practicing yoga at all, pretty much. Definitely got into a funk with drinking too much prior to being pregnant, I should say. And now I'm pregnant. And so I cannot take a statin, and I don't want to take a statin. So I'm a little overwhelmed about this whole process while pregnant, but I don't really it's at that point where I don't have a choice. My cholesterol's through the roof. It's in like the 300 plus area. And when I we buy only organic. I shop at, the co-ops, that type of stuff. I was raised in a very holistic kind of household. So a lot of this is kind of intuitive to me. However, the ease of ordering French meadow or whatever fun restaurant takeout kind of has taken over our daily life because I work full time. I have 2 other kids. My husband and I own a company. We're freaking busy. And so anyways, but it's at that point where like my health has become kind of second priority. And it's teetering at that point now. I'm also over the age of 35. And like I said, this is my 3rd child. So that's where I'm at. So I guess some of my questions are, obviously during pregnancy, it's, I need to eat for multiple reasons. One, I might kill somebody if I don't eat. I mean, the hunger is insane right now. I do feel full from fruit, so I'm not afraid of that. I mean, so I guess I'm good, I think, in that area. What I think I'm a little confused about is some of the information that I read does say like cottage cheese is okay and chicken's okay. I don't necessarily need those items. I actually am kind of in a stage in both in my pregnancy in particular right now where meat really grosses me out. So I don't need that. But my question is kind of like, okay, for the 30 days or 40 days or whatever, I guess what is like a good protein combination and what is a good way to feel really full? And then should I be doing just like a shake in the morning, or the juice in the morning? Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. I'm using the Epigeneous Kids, I think is what it is. So do I just have that in the morning and then fruit? Is that enough during pregnancy? So those are kind of my questions. And then, yeah, that's where I'll start.
I can speak to that. Well, that's awesome that you're doing this during pregnancy. I'm assuming that not to take the Cleanse-R, so you could take everything else. Yeah.
Yes, Carrie told me that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as far as cholesterol goes, this is something I didn't know until I learned this regenerative healing. And one of our body's main antacids is using cholesterol to buffer the acids that we're ingesting. And so our body uses three things, and it's calcium. It'll steal calcium out of the connective tissue, water, edema. So our body will swell if we get injured or something. Or I don't know if you've seen like bodybuilders, but they look really swollen because they're eating these high protein, high acidic diets. So that's their body will buffer those acids. And then cholesterol is the third one. And so if somebody's having high cholesterol, it's always like, okay, why is that happening? And it's, like I said, it's our body's response to protect us, to buffer those acids. And so it's really important, even though you grew up eating vegan, to go to more of the alkaline forming foods, even during pregnancy. And you can slowly do this. You don't have to go on a crazy like fast. And I don't know why it says cottage cheese and chicken in our group, because we definitely don't recommend those.
So it was on one of the Purium links.
Purium, yes, Purium does say that. As far as
Okay.
people coming from like standard American diets, but we kind of
Got it.
encourage plant-based if possible. So so follow along. This is more in alignment probably with where you're wanting to go, and just adding in those alkaline forming foods and not that acidic plant-based foods. So alkaline ones are more of the fruits and veggies. Even sweet potatoes can be really nice during pregnancy and nourishing. Squashes, and greens, like you can eat salads or steamed greens like kale or collards or any spinach and stuff like that. And then nettle tea is very nourishing during pregnancy, as well as red raspberry leaf. So those are nice herbal ones to add in that will help support your uterus and just add more nourishment in that way. But I think as far as eating wise, if you just keep adding in a lot of those alkaline forming foods, your cholesterol will naturally go down. So that'll be really fun to see.
The other thing I just remembered that I was going to ask, and this is just a total whatever, I need to get over it, but I love coffee. Coffee is obviously probably, I mean, I know it's a no-no during this cleanse. Is there anything like after the cleanse that you can tell me, like, definitely coffee is bad for my situation? Or is it just that it's right now during the cleanse, it's not good? I mean, I love coffee so much. It's going to be really hard to give it up.
Yeah, that is a tough one for people. And you can, so what coffee does, it's a stimulant. So it stimulates the adrenal glands. And so you have this high and then you crash down, and it's this up and down. It's like abusing your adrenal glands pretty much. But I know a lot of people love their coffee, so it could be a challenging one to let go. So you can slowly let it go, because your adrenal glands are really helpful, and they sit on top of your kidneys and control the function of your kidneys. They produce a lot of hormones and steroids, so you really, really want them to function optimally. And taking a stimulant is just kind of wearing them out. And so if you're really wanting to get to the root and regenerative health, you can eventually substitute that for, like, there's what's called Dandy Blend, is like a roasted flavored drink that you can mix with warm water that has that roasted flavor. I like roasted dandelion root. You can try that, because a lot of people just like the ritual of something warm and roasted flavored. So you could try that, or just like slowly start cutting back, but know that you might get headaches for a little bit, but you don't have to quit anything cold turkey, especially being pregnant. You don't want to, like, you can work your way into that if that's something you're wanting to do, but it would benefit you and the baby to replace it with an herbal tea that can be more supportive and nutritive and add.
And the dandelion, like roasted dandelion, is that okay to drink on the cleanse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry. Well, I was just curious, like, how do you, and maybe it'll be obvious because I can tell right now I have tons of inflammation. I just know I'm not in a good place physically with my physical health. But how do you know, like, my kidneys are working all of a sudden? You know, like, is there some, like, actual release of stuff through the bowels?
No, actually through the urine. So you can take a jar and put it by your toilet tonight, and then pee in it in the morning, and, like, hold it up. I know it sounds weird, but you can hold it up to the light, see if you see anything floating in it, and then you know your kidneys are filtering. And when you're pregnant, it's really hard to go on a deep dive protocol for it, but you can do so much to support your body with adding in more alkaline nutrients. So eventually your goal will be to open that up, and you can slowly make lifestyle changes for when you're wanting to go deeper diving into that. When you're done nursing, you can do that. But some people's open up fast. I had to go really strict and deep with mine because my degeneration was so bad. So, but you can check it. It's always fun to see if your kidneys are filtering. So anyone can.
So you want to see stuff floating? That's Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. You want to see things floating, and a lot of people think having cloudy urine or sediment in it is a negative thing, but actually, that's where our cellular waste dumps into. So.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Alana. And we have some resources on kidney filtration in the group, and I'll also post a really helpful link on that and tag you in it. And yeah, I love what Carrie said. It's really just getting the body alkaline in order for the body to not use that. The liver will produce the cholesterol to create a buffer for it. So it'll happen naturally. I wouldn't worry. Just like your tart cherry juice is going to help you with that kidney filtration. Any watermelons are going to help you with that. Lemon juice is going to help your body get alkaline. Same with the grapes. So anything that's like raw and fresh and juicy is going to help you to get alkaline. So that's where you can really focus for the supporting healthy cholesterol levels. And then if you're needing more things that are just feeling, nutrient dense, like one of my favorite salads is actually kale with lemon and tahini and a little bit of salt, like a little bit of sea salt, and you massage it, and it just goes from this huge thing of kale like down to this little tiny thing. And that's actually super rich in different proteins and aminos and things that are great for building. And then if you need to incorporate some nuts and seeds or some beans or whatever, I mean, you just want to do what's best for you and your baby. And then for the cholesterol, try and stick as high, try to incorporate, like, aim towards getting towards like 80% fresh fruits and veggies. And that's really going to start addressing getting the body to an alkaline state.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add in a little bit from the other perspective of not just like adrenal health and the stimulation of the caffeine, but as little as 2 ounces a day of coffee, like, completely diminishes your ability to produce B vitamins in your gut, which are an essential part, a very essential part of your magnesium levels in your hormone system. So your B vitamins are like a common part of adrenal fatigue, and if they're an essential part of like producing your liver enzymes and then creating your hormone health. So your hormones staying balanced throughout your pregnancy is really about your gut health. So the coffee is not only a stimulant to your adrenals and acid, which will trigger that buffering system of water, fat, calcium, or cholesterol, but it's also depleting your gut biome and depleting your B minerals, which is what's creating the hormone balance, as well as the magnesium balance in your body. And then when the magnesium gets out of balance, because magnesium is actually stored in the blood, then you start to have the myelin sheath weakness, which is nervous system depletion. So tremoring legs or twitching eyes or just feeling overall unbalanced. Sorry, I'll go on mute. There's some loud noise back here.
So I wonder if the coffee is organic and or decaffeinated. Does that make a difference?
Organic is always better, but it's still an acidic pH. And that's there's only two sides of chemistry. There's acid-base chemistry or alkaline chemistry. In coffee, whenever everything leaves behind an ash. Sorry, I'm having a carrot. But you either have an acid ash or an alkaline ash left behind after you eat. And coffee leaves an acid ash of pH of 1 behind. So it really depletes the gut a lot. So yes, organic's better, but it's still acidic. It's just organic acidic food. It's kind of like saying I'm a vegan, so I'm healthy. You can be a junk food vegan and be very unhealthy. So there's a difference in that category. So yeah, it's just, I loved coffee and I was like, there's no way I'm ever getting rid of coffee. And I think it's been 4 years since I've had coffee now. And I don't miss it. And the substitution with Purium, if you're looking for an energy substitution, would be the Can't Beat This. And it's amazing. It's got green Hawaiian coffee bean. And it green Hawaiian coffee bean and beet juice and passion fruit and guava powder in it. So it's super nourishing. It oxygenates the blood. It's delicious. It gives me this amazing energy boost, and then I'm sustained because it's like slow releasing into the system so you don't spike and crash. I did use it when I was pregnant, when I was getting towards the really fatigue stage. It's completely safe, and I use it now when I'm really, really tired. So it's a great substitution if you're looking for an energy sustainer in a healthy way.
Also, I don't know if this is helpful, but I was listening to NPR yesterday, and a recent study came out about the effects of coffee on your baby when you're pregnant, and I had never heard anything like what I heard in that news story. So I don't know if it's worth, you looking it up, just to see if that provides some motivation. I love coffee, so, and I'm way too old.
I'll look it up. Yeah.
Okay.
I will look it up. Really quick question on beans and legumes. I know Carrie mentioned chickpeas, and it looks like lentils are good. Are there any other legumes that are like good during this process? And then again, afterwards, are they, I don't know. I've heard good things, bad things about legumes and gut health.
I can speak to that. With legumes or lentils, you always want to soak them before you cook them because that breaks down the phytic acid. Or releases the phytic acid because that's what's hard to break down in the body. And so as long as you can digest them well and they feel nourishing to you, I would always soak them before you cook them. And when you soak them, you can squeeze a little lemon or lime juice or a little apple cider vinegar to get the phytic acid out. And then I also heard when you cook beans with a bay leaf, that can be helpful as well for digestion. So listen to your body when you add beans in or legumes to see how your body responds to that. And then I see a question from Laura. How does the body use calcium to buffer acid? So calcium, if the body's using that form, it will like steal it out of the connective tissue. So if you ever see smokers, they have like brittle hair or more wrinkles because it's stealing the calcium to neutralize the acid. So that's how it steals that. Or same with like bone spurs, it'll steal the calcium and it'll calcify more because more calcium circulating, and so that can be a factor. And calcium is okay. Well, I think that answered your question. If I didn't, let me know.
Yeah, that calcium is an alkaline mineral, so it neutralizes the acidic content in the body. Yeah. And then with the go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask a question about the apothecary. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I don't know if any of you have experienced ayahuasca. Anybody? Yes, okay. Yeah. So that's what it tastes like to me. And I just gagged on it. And so I don't know, I'm wondering what's in it and what it does for me so that I can convince myself to just chug it down.
That's funny. I do mix it or dilute it with anything because I feel like this is way easier to take than ayahuasca. If you mix it with like grape juice or apple juice, that might help you out.
Okay, what about the sugar in juices?
As long as it's not added sugar, I think it's fine. I just always get like organic, unfiltered, like, or pure juice, or you can make your own fresh juice. I mean, that's number one. But if that's not available, I don't think it's a problem to mix it with like a Concord grape juice or apple juice.
Okay, thank you.
And you can just mix it with water too, if that's more comfortable to you. That's what I mix it with. I think maybe you're coming across the consistency if you're not adding water to it. So adding water or juice, like Carrie said, and then it's good for the kidney filtration. And the kidney filtration is what's key to cellular regeneration. So it's getting the acids out of the body because they're eliminated out of the kidneys. And it takes everyone a variable amount of time to get their kidneys filtering. It can take somebody a week. It can take somebody 3 months. It's so dependent upon how long the congestion has been there, and also like your genetic constitution and whether your parents' kidneys are filtering and whether their parents' kidneys are filtering. So it's really how long standing have the kidneys been not filtering optimally will kind of determine how long it takes. But it's something that I incorporate into my daily life and ritual because it's helped me so much. The kidney filtration piece and the tart cherry juice. And then it also has naturally occurring melatonin in it, and it's just straight cherries. So that melatonin is going to help you to reset your sleep cycles, which will be really important for your own healing. Our body heals so much when we're in those deep states of rest. And then sometimes like I'll have a little bit extra, like it says have 2 tablespoons, and sometimes I'll have like 2.5. And that can really enhance your dreams. So maybe that's the connection you're picking up on between, but it does activate that melatonin, which is produced in your pineal gland, which does enhance our visualizations and our dreaming. So I feel that it's working a lot deeper on that. Yeah, the DMT. I feel that it's releasing, working a lot deeper even on our subconscious to help for deep healing there. And I mean, I have kind of a wild story with the tart cherry juice, actually. When I first started incorporating it into my life, I had a dear friend, and this was like I had taken a little bit extra or whatever, and I was just having really deep, profound dreams. And I had a friend whose father had passed away, and I had no idea, and I'd never met her father. And this was when bye, Lana. This is when I first incorporated the tart cherry juice, and I dreamt of her in India, which is her favorite place, with her father and like surrounded by all of these crystals. And I had known that they were celebrating her father's life. And so I called her the next day and was like, hey, how are you? And she said she was with her father that night as he passed away. And I was like, whoa, what is this tart cherry juice? Because that was the only thing that I incorporated, and it like brought me to a really deep intuitive place in my dreams, and in my own processing in my life and what was going on around me. So, you know, when we're working with plants of any kind, all plants are medicinal, and all plants have healing effects, not only physically, but emotionally and spiritually. And something that I love about the biomedic is I feel that's working at a really deep ancestral level of cleaning out our gut microbiome, which there's so many old stored limiting beliefs and such. So as we cleanse and as we detox, so many suppressed old ancient emotions that are not only ours, but like of a long lineage start to come to the surface to be released. And it's the same with the chronic pains that come to the surface to be released. And it's the same with, you know, the lymphatic congestion. It's all just coming to the surface to be released so that we can have more freedom and be more of ourselves. So, you know, whether it's ayahuasca or another plant, they all have the different supportive properties that are healing.
Yeah, beautifully said. I also love the dark cherry juice. It's actually induced lucid dreaming for me. And I was surprised at something like that could be so powerful. But yeah, plants they have a consciousness and a vibration and an energy to them. And they're just really, all food is communication and information for our cells to function in a certain way. So maybe before you take it, you know, say a little intention or prayer as you bring that plant medicine in, and you can change up the flavor like how with water or juice and see if that helps. But yeah, you never know, you could induce some awesome dreaming for you that could help open up doorways of new possibilities of something in your life.
Thank you both. When you said that just recently about Carrie, about your intentions, when I took ayahuasca, that was such a big part of that. So
Yeah,
Okay.
intention even with all of this is really important. So what are you trying to get out of this? What are your goals? And just keep remembering that, because it's easy to go back into our old subconscious habits and patterns. So yeah, really setting the intention and holding that and creating what you want moving forward, because times are interesting right now, and there's going to be, it's not over yet. So it's how can we stay grounded? How can we stay balanced within our own body so we can show up with our gifts? And so it's really important to take this time to really listen to your body, and breath work is helpful too. Like I know someone had mentioned about their daughter going back to school and had more migraines, just like really teaching habits that can help us through these things like yoga, breath work, whatever, walking out in nature, whatever calls to you, to really keep yourself grounded and balanced during these times can be really helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for popping on and asking questions, and I look forward to dropping in with everyone again next week.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rita, Carrie. Thanks everyone for sharing.
Thank you guys. And thanks for sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
And so, and just FYI, you went to my junk, so I hope people are getting your emails. If they're not, that doesn't mean they didn't want to come. They may not have gotten it. So I'll let you go through your list.
Okay, thank you.
Email?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.